Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. In this video, I will share with you the most memorable chance meeting of my travels, heading for the first time to Spain, how I book my car rentals, and more. If you are new here, I have created this channel to help you learn about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. I have spent the last few years traveling the world. I bought and paid off a house in Spain. I've worked all kinds of side jobs and have used all of this to help me move toward financial independence. I believe that the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. I hope that you'll jump on this journey with me, no matter where you're starting from. So, we're in the middle of my first set of solo travel. I was wrapping up my time in Greece, and before leaving, I had decided that for my next stop in Spain, that I would rent a car. I knew I was taking on a little risk by not having an international driver's permit, but at this point the reward was greater than the risk. At the time, you were not required to have your international driver's permit, but now I do believe in certain places you must show it at the car rental counter. I later learned that lesson the hard way, but we'll have to cover that particular adventure in the future. So let's talk about car rentals for a moment. I've rented cars in Spain, Greece, Portugal, Bali, Egypt, Montenegro, and Croatia. First, and this is important, if you are traveling from the US, almost everywhere else in the world, you will have to pay more money if you are only able to drive an automatic. Stick shift is queen, and let's face it, it's way more fun to drive a stick. Do yourself a favor and learn. You heard me mention before that I love the Skyscanner website for booking flights, and this is also true for car rentals. Spain and Portugal are where I have found the best deals. I think I generally pay no more than $2 a day in Spain. This is specifically renting from the Valencia airport, booking between 2 and 6 weeks in advance, and typically booking for 2 or 3 week periods. In order to save over the course of a 90-day visit, I would swap out rental cars every 2 to 4 weeks. Maybe a bit of a hassle, but if it saved me hundreds of dollars, I personally found it to be worthwhile. If my booking dates didn't need to be super specific, I would try different start and end dates and even different times of the day for pickup. All of this can make a difference in the cost. Skyscanner often connects you to other third-party sites for booking, so I think it's important to make sure you look at the reviews. Keep in mind that all car rental companies are going to have some bad reviews, but I try to only book through sites that have at least an overall 4 stars or more. It's okay to pay a little bit more to have a company who will deal with you honestly. I have some nightmare car rental stories, so just be prepared. Also, keep in mind that there will also be taxes and fees when you go to pay at the counter, even though you've prepaid for the car rental. I generally expect about $100. In general, I never pay for additional insurance. In advance, you should check with your credit card companies to see if you are covered with liability if you use your credit card to book. By not paying for any additional car insurance through car rental companies, I have saved thousands of dollars. The only thing I've ever been responsible to pay for was a broken window for €300 because my car was broken into. I'll take that risk any day of the week. So on my last day in Athens, I decided to spend the day lying by the beach. I got out there relatively early, found a spot for my towel, and fell asleep listening to the water. As I lay there in my swimsuit, a small, older Asian woman approached me with a laminated paper, trying to sell me a cheap massage. I remember how odd it was that I was in a swimsuit and she was in a zipped-up down jacket. After saying no thank you, a few minutes later, a tall, older gentleman emerged from the water in a Speedo, who also approached me and offered massage services. I suppose it's a way that just about anyone could make money in Greece. The stark contrast of the two requests were just sort of funny to me. A while later, I was sleeping on my towel when a gentleman who was sitting not too far from me approached and asked if I had tweezers. He showed me the little splinter or stinger he had in his finger. After I told him that I didn't have tweezers, he asked if he could join me. A bit odd, I thought, but why not? He brought his towel over and we spent some time getting to know each other. Because his story is a big one, I will not be sharing his name in this video. The first couple of hours we spent making small talk and learning about each other. I learned that he was a refugee from Iraq who had no status. His English was better than anyone I had met who had English as a second language. He sounded almost like an American, using slang, shortened, hyphenated words, unlike those who take English classes. Through our conversation, I learned that he speaks 10 languages. This blew me away. I asked how he learned to speak so many languages and with such fluency. He said, "You aren't going to believe me. I learned from watching TV." It was shocking, but it also explained why he spoke like most Americans rather than proper English. Not only was my new friend disciplined and intelligent, he was also hysterical. We did quite a bit of people watching, and he would make voices and funny remarks as if he were the people passing by. During our conversation, he told me that he had come by boat to Greece, but that because he had more money than most, he was able to afford safe passage. He explained that many refugees running for their lives don't have any option but to take raft-type boats that can be very dangerous. I asked where his family was, and he looked off into the distance and said, "I have no family. I am alone in the world." It didn't seem that he wanted to continue to speak of this, so he quickly changed the subject to something more lighthearted. Our conversation went on for hours. This young man was very impressive, and at the age of just 26, I would learn he had lived through more horrors in one lifetime than most will ever have to endure. The sun was going down, but we were having such a great time. He invited me to a Kurdish restaurant for dinner. We rode the train back to the city and then each went to our respective apartments to shower and change. When I met him back in the city a couple of hours later, he was looking quite dapper. We walked for a while until we came to the Kurdish restaurant. There weren't many people there at the time, but the dinner was delicious. While we were sitting at the table, he managed to get the splinter out of his finger from earlier in the day. After dinner, we walked around the city for a while, just making the most of the only day we'd be able to spend together. As the evening went on, he began to open up a bit more about his family and the story of his life. He recalled when Saddam Hussein had died, and the hope that had filled his mother's heart. He said it wasn't long after that when Al-Qaeda was raising up and causing division between Sunni and Shia. He told me that his family belonged to one group and his best friend to another. It had never been an issue before, until one day his best friend showed up and threatened to kill him. He said to his friend, "I am an atheist. You know this. You are my best friend." But he said this was the last time he saw his friend. A couple of years later, he was laying asleep on a warm afternoon. His mom came in and asked him to go with her to the market. He said no, that he wanted to sleep. She said, "If you don't come with me, I'll have to take your father and brother." He responded, "I don't care." Not long after, he heard a blast in the distance, which was something not all that uncommon. Some people came to the house to get him and told him that he must come to collect his family. Both his parents and his baby brother had been killed in the blast. He found part of the body of his brother and was carrying him around. People were yelling at him to take the body to the hospital. He would yell back, "Why? What are they going to do with him at the hospital?" My friend became quiet and stilled. His eyes wet with tears. He looked at me and said, "I don't care. That was the last thing I said to my mother. I don't care." I just listened to him. I feel as if I've walked some difficult roads in my life, but nothing I'd been through could compare to his suffering. He continued his education and went to law school because his mother had always wanted him to become a lawyer. While in school, he met a young lady who was also in university. You could see him sorting through the memories in his mind, and he would laugh with the biggest smile as he told me about flirting with her, the memories just filling him with joy. At some point, they became engaged, waiting until they finished their studies to get married. Her family was well known, and was an enemy of Al-Qaeda. One day when he returned home, he turned on the TV to see an image of she and her family. They had all been killed. My friend's grief is immeasurable, and yet he is strong. He has all but given up on the land of his family, but with determination he worked hard to become a translator and had gotten himself an apartment in the city of Athens away from the refugee camps. He works hard and has in mind the dreams of the children he will have one day. He doesn't want their dreams to be limited. He said to me, "You are so blessed. You can go almost anywhere in the world that you like. I have no status, no ability to go anywhere outside of Greece. You are so blessed." Indeed, I am. Indeed, many of us are. So then we must ask the question of ourselves, how is it that we steward this blessing that is given to us? As we talk about money and the ability to travel, how do we then use it in a way that benefits those who we come in contact with? How can we help them find their freedom and their footing? I hope that it becomes very clear in this series of videos that the ability to travel and the money for freedom are simply resources in this life. It is the relationships, how we treat our neighbor, how we give and how we receive, walking with one another, that really matters. I'm still in touch with my friend from the beach in Greece from time to time. What a privilege it was to know him, even if only for that one day. He changed my life. In the next video, I will tell you about taking trains in Europe, my first day in Spain, and we'll touch on 401k accounts and how easy it is to get started. But for now, I hope you'll keep this story with you. If you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, tap the like button, and join me on this ride where travel and adventure build financial freedom. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.